Okay, I like this vibe. Add a bit of warmth. Put in those drums. Ooh, okay. Mic check 1, 2, 3.
We are good to go.
Hello and welcome, Candid people. Today we have an absolutely amazing woman joining us, Alisha Gupta, all the way from California. She's absolutely amazing. She runs her own podcast. She has an NGO. She has internships. She's doing like all, bro. She's absolutely insane. How are you doing today, Alisha?
I'm good. How are you two?
Very well.
Pretty good.
Enjoying the Saturday.
It's just
It's a little break from school.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. We're just chilling, and we get to do a podcast, so it's already an amazing day. You already know podcast days are the best days ever. But before we jump into anything, let's go with the rapid fire. Alicia, 1 minute. We're gonna throw questions your way and just blurt out whatever comes to mind.
Okay.
Really, nothing to think about. All right, Garv, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Just start the timer whenever.
All right, I'm gonna start in 3, 2, 1, go.
What is your favorite song at the moment?
Billy by Law.
If you could buy any type of food right now, what would you buy?
I'm big on eggs, so like an egg breakfast.
Oh, okay. What is your most favorite movie?
Parent Trap. It's an old one, but
Describe yourself in 3 words.
I can explain this further later. But oven, flyover, and caterpillar.
Okay, yeah, we'll get into it later then. Yeah. What is your dream job?
Marketing consulting at the moment, but definitely want to explore fashion industries and different digital marketing ventures.
Okay. What is one of the things you would put on your bucket list?
Skydiving. I've been waiting.
What store do you shop at the most?
Fashion Nova.
Ooh.
They're very
And what
body
is
positive. So
what is your best quality?
I like workflow, organization and workflow. Like things to be very organized. So
All right,
Ooh, okay.
time.
That's perfect.
Dang, Alicia like flew through them. She flew through them. Look at
That was my
that.
last question.
That's probably the best. That's probably the
Yeah.
best rapid fire we had.
Yeah, all the
She
other
was
guys
like-
are so slow.
She was
no,
on
my
her
heart
game.
was beating. I was like, what is he gonna ask me next?
Jeez, you had an answer for everything though. I mean, you killed it. But what about those 3 words? Those are some very interesting 3 words to describe yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I've been kind of, people ask that question all the time, whether it's like essays or recruiting, and I find adjectives just don't sum up like personality as much. And so I chose these 3 words very symbolically and metaphorically. So the first one was flyover. And a flyover is kind of the bridge that connects 2 highways or freeways. And so I like to think of
Right.
myself, or I hope to be someone that can connect students and youth to the professional world. And so a lot of what I do right now is to kind of bridge the gap between what we think of as successful and how we can start that early on. The
Right.
second word was caterpillar. So caterpillars turn into butterflies. We all know that. But I definitely believe that we're all constantly evolving. And so a question I can ask you is, why are buildings called buildings if they're completely stable, ready to be used? Why aren't they called built? And if we look at that question a little bit deeper, you can see that because our world is always constantly evolving. And so I
Right.
want to be kind of that butterfly or that caterpillar constantly in transition, taking in new information and expanding my mindset and my viewpoints. And then
Right.
finally, oven. So oven is something that you put in like these raw unfinished products and something beautiful and new and innovative comes out of.
Right.
And so in my marketing career, young career may it be, but still, and all the projects I do, it's all about taking that unfinished ideas, taking a vision, and then creating and enacting something beautiful out of it.
Oh my god,
Jeez,
that was
man.
so much.
I could
That was
never
so
think of
interesting to
that.
hear.
Alicia's
Wow.
already on the next level. We're like
Once you
100
go
miles behind.
once you go through college applications and recruiting in college and internships, it'll all come to you. So don't even worry.
I love those meetings though.
Damn.
Are actually amazing. But going back to your
So,
first one, the flyover about connecting youth to um professionals, like you said, what inspired that motive and drive within you to provide these opportunities for youth? Was it something because of problems you faced personally or something else?
Yeah, yeah. It was exactly that actually. So I started my own nonprofit at a pretty young age. I started it just in the beginning of high school, so 2015, 2016. And obviously, I didn't expect it to grow. It was just an idea that I had. I wanted to do a simple donation of 30 suitcases to foster agencies
Right.
because a foster child actually moves 7 times on average and carries all of their belongings in garbage bags. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of like an oversight by the government that I wanted to fill in the gaps for. That expanded to a nonprofit, but I think my hardest problem was, I wanted to learn more about the entrepreneurship scene. I wanted to hear from people who have done it before. And as a high schooler, people don't take you seriously. It's
Right.
kind of like a waste of time. Like, you can get to college, college will teach you that, graduate school will teach you that. Why are you worrying about it now?
Mm-hmm.
But I had a need that I wanted to enact right away, so I needed to find the resources on my own. And that was a first really hard obstacle. It took me a while. And secondly, when you get into an investor pitch and
Mm-hmm.
they see my young face, they're like, oh, like, is this even a real nonprofit? And it was, and
Right.
it's right now on its way of becoming a for profit. But, there's a lot of doubt with youth in the entrepreneurial scene. And so I wanted to be kind of that bridge or flyover to be able to connect other youth entrepreneurs and activists. Gen Z is all about activism now, and we
Right.
see so many more youth startups coming. I wanted to help them and have those resources firsthand and also help them gain funding. And so all of that can start off their nonprofit on a good foot. So when they do cross that bridge over to the professional world, they have already a good standing to go off of.
That's insane.
wow.
That's absolutely amazing to see. That
Mm-hmm.
you actually saw a problem and you're like going head first, diving head first, going in to solve it, not just for yourself, but like other people as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's just insane. And also, like, why don't you walk us through some of your initiatives? I know you mentioned your nonprofit and your podcast. What are they about, and what are you seeking to gain out of them? Really?
Sure. I can start with the nonprofit. So, as I said before, it's called Needed But Forgotten, and it connects suitcases with foster agencies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is a really, in the most simplest way, a repurposing of goods.
Right.
I found a need in the foster community for suitcases, and I filled them in with already used excess inventory suitcases from Samsonite, and that was my pilot delivery.
Right.
Now, what my goal is and my mission is to kind of repurpose that in a wider scale using all sorts of goods from any corporate to any charitable organization. So I'm in the works of creating a digital marketplace that can connect excess inventory to charitable organizations
Right.
around the globe. And the reason for this is because we don't realize it, but two things. One thing, poverty is in the double digits for most countries.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that has to do with simple wastage that we don't
Right. That's
realize. So
definitely
a
true.
lot of the goods that we could be using are just not going to the right people at the right time. And secondly, on the corporate side of things, we have so much just stored. And, take suitcases, for example. If a zipper is broken, they can no longer sell that because of the perfectionism that we've put in our marketplace. So we don't like imperfect goods.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just store that. And it's more expensive for them to actually tear that product apart and make it a suitcase again. And so it's just in storage being wasted. So that's the need that I tried to fill, and I'm on the way of creating an MVP and prototype for my for profit now. That will still be called Needed But Forgotten.
Wow. How
Wow.
did you go through the
Yeah,
process of actually
and
like finding out that these companies had excess inventory? Sorry, Garth, to cut you off, but like to like that they finding out that they have excess inventory and then actually contacted them and then agreeing to like give it to you?
Yeah, so when you're a 17, 18-year-old entrepreneur, it's called the hustle. You just do it. You just research, you just spend time looking things up, cold calling, contacting. A lot of it is you need to shoot your shot.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's usually used in a dating sense, but it's like
Right.
you're dating these people that you're reaching out to because you literally need to put your best foot forward and and just and just call them and email them,
Mm-hmm.
and do the research and reach out to people. And I reached out to almost 170 to 100 corporate agencies,
Right.
and I got responses from 5. So
That
yes, the probability is low, but there is a probability, which means you just need to keep going.
Hmm.
that's so relatable for Gaurav and I, because we
Yeah,
contact so many people, especially with a podcast.
yeah. Trying to get like as many connections as we can. Yeah,
Yeah, I will tell you, once you get the first one, then you have someone to say like, hey, I'm already working with this person. Wouldn't you want to be on their level playing field? And so more and more people are interested. So
yeah.
it's really just about one person believing in your cause that can take you so far from there. So
Definitely so
So
true.
yeah, yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
my bad.
So like you have the podcast and the NGO running. Like, how do you like benefit from it? I know it like just goes on your resume that you're doing all these good things. You're trying to benefit the, I guess, the community around you. But like, how does it reflect on you? You know?
yeah, one of my favorite quotes is chase
Mm-hmm.
experiences, not accomplishments.
Right.
And so I quote this all the time, but for me, it's never really been about the resume. If anything, you get to a point where they tell you in college your resume has to be 1 page.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was 4 coming in. And
Gee.
so it's not really about the resume. It's about what experience am I gaining out of it. Because as you progress in life and as you keep talking to more and more recruiters and internships, they glance at your resume, sure, but when you get into that interview, they want you to talk from your heart and they want you to talk about your experiences. And so I'm able to connect the dots with my podcast and my nonprofit to show a person that I am internally and what I believe in and what I stand for.
Right.
And so a lot of my journey has been crafted around this basic premise of social justice. I went through a lot in high school. I went through um, cyberbullying.
Oh wow.
I went through other topics. I don't want to put a trigger warning on your podcast, so I
Mm-hmm.
really just won't get into it. But
Mm-hmm.
I went through different hardships in high school that led me to the causes that I believe in today. And so through that, it's not about, what can I add on my resume? It's about how can I use my experiences to make sure that the community is one, aware of them,
Mm-hmm.
because when I was going through them, I felt like I had nobody. So I wanted that support system from everybody, and 2, that no other person has to go through them again. So that's a lot about what I stand for and the initiatives that I willingly get into.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then what do you call it? Like you obviously you talked about everything that you're juggling right now. Internships, your podcast, your NGO work. How do you balance all this stuff? And then you're obviously a full-time student as well at UT Austin, and it's like, geez, that's a lot on your plate right now. How do you manage all that?
Yeah. So I mentioned before that organization and workflow were one of my 2 strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's literally how I structure my life. Everything is planned out. I sometimes say I procrastinate, not in the sense that I forget to do work or I wait till last
Mm-hmm.
minute, but I leave it to last minute because I'm doing other things and I've just planned it that way. So I guess my biggest tip for everyone who's trying to juggle different things is, one, make a prioritization list. What activities do you want to spend a lot of your time in? And what do you want to spend less time in? It's
Right.
okay to still keep that all in your bookshelf or whatever you want to call it, but choose your time schedule correctly. For me, school obviously came first.
Right.
And then instead of clubs in high school, I found myself more inclined to the workforce already. So that's something that I prioritize instead of, staying at school and doing the clubs. I did do debate in high school. So, it's just about really prioritizing what you want in life and what you want to get out of it and putting your time into that. It is long nights sometimes. It
Mhm.
is, forfeiting on that party or hanging out with your
Right.
friends. It is back to back work where I'm sometimes on my computer for 5 hours, but it doesn't have to be that for you. It can be anything that your passion is. And so I know a lot of my friends, they wanted to spend a lot of time dancing or doing their sport. And so that was their priority, and that's what they put their time in. So it's about managing your time well and making sure everything you do has a purpose.
Yeah. So I was like, you said you didn't really like participate in clubs, and you found yourself in like the workforce. And in the previous like rapid fire question, you said you chose marketing. What really like gave you an idea of why you chose, I guess, marketing, and what's your passion into it?
Sure. I can start with the clubs. I did participate in, I was in debate, I was in honor societies, I was in dance in high school, but it was more about gaining the skills in those than the participation in, like, this is my team and
Right.
things. And that has to do with the type of high school I went to.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really fit into my high school. I had mixed experiences. So I reverted to something that I was truly passionate and comfortable doing, which was my work experience. Marketing didn't come until my senior year, second semester. So for the longest time, I wanted to be a poli sci major. I was really into social advocacy, but I realized after taking a government class that it wasn't the Constitution that I was interested in. It
Right.
wasn't really the political agenda that I was interested in. It was the act of taking a problem and figuring out creative ways to find a solution and then actually enacting that solution. And that realization led me to the business world. And so I was already kind of in the business world with my nonprofit, but I had
Mm-hmm.
thought that was more a social justice aspect. So once I started really focusing on, my business plan, my financial plan, marketing came like easy to me. Because I realized that before any business takes off, you need that marketing. And
Definitely.
it's becoming more and more important as we become virtual. Entrepreneurship wouldn't be where it is today without the marketing of a customer base or trend analysis. And so, even those digital aspects of marketing are something that became really prevalent in my life and just kind of stood out as my entryway to the business world. And so, that's how I entered the marketing sphere. And once I was in it, I was like, this is where I wanted to be. And so, I will be declaring a major in marketing um, this semester, which is super excited because until you really declare it at UT, you can't take any marketing
Oh wow.
classes. So I'm excited to start for my formal education in the marketing sphere. But I have done internships in marketing strategy and digital marketing in
So
the
the
past.
first year at UT is just simply just standard classes, and then you obviously get more specific with your when you declare your major sophomore year, I'm guessing.
Yeah, yeah. So you go into UT Austin. You have to go into a school. So I was in Macomb School of
Mm-hmm.
Business, and everyone comes in unspecified. And they make sure that you explore to keep your options open. So everyone takes a finance class, a management, a business administration, accounting, all before you declare your major. And once you do, then you can start specializing in whatever concentration or major you chose.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing. And then also, you obviously are an avid dancer. I mean, I've seen on your Insta you like dance a lot, love dancing. So walk us through that. How do you grow that passion, and how do you prioritize that in your life?
Yeah, for sure. So dance is something that I simply never want to let go of. And so again, in the prioritization list, that's something that I will fit my schedule around. And the reason is I started dancing when I was 3 years old, so very, very young. I grew up a Bollywood dancer. Coming to high school, I was captain of my Bollywood team in high
Oh
school,
wow.
but there wasn't really too much hype in my high school. So I also joined Monacon Company. If you're from the Bay Area, I'm sure you've heard of it. It's a pretty big company, and we do professional showcases.
Mm-hmm.
And I quickly became a company dancer. And there was a few things keeping me in the dance sphere. One was the culture at the company I was in. I mean, they push you and motivate you to learn different styles. So I picked up hip hop, ballet, jazz, modern, and contemporary as well, along with Bollywood. And two is you're constantly training in different workshops. And I realized that that's just something that I need to do at the end of the workday
Mm-hmm.
because that was my release. It was my form of exercise and it was my creative outlet. And once I was able to go dance, get it out of my system, I can come back with a clear head and work. And so for some people that's running. You know, you run and you think about all the tasks you need to do for the day. Some people that's in the shower. For me, that was dance. And so dance has always been kind of that outlet for me to just forget everything, explore my creative emotions and personality and what really gets me going, and then take that back to whatever task I'm doing.
Right, right.
Yeah, you said like dance and everything. Um, like how many different like genres? I know you said like jazz, contemporary. Like, what was it like? Pop, hip hop, breakdancing. Like, what did you really, I guess, enjoy more?
I think I'm training right now in seven. My favorites are probably a Bollywood fusion, so a mix between Bollywood and hip hop, and then contemporary. Although I don't personally choreograph in contemporary because I didn't grow up learning it as much, so it doesn't connect as much as Bollywood and hip hop does. But yeah, those two are kind of the genres and styles that I train most in, and I choreograph and perform in as well.
Wow, there's so many Bollywood dance groups in America. Yeah.
There is. I'm glad there is though, because I think it keeps it interesting and it definitely helped me find a community um, that you can always go back to. I mean, the Bay Area is known to be competitive.
Right.
I don't want to use the word toxic in case Bay Area people are listening in and they're like, what? But, you know, competition is there wherever you go. But every time I go back to the Bollywood community, it just feels like all of that's gone and people are genuinely just rooting for each other and having fun
Right.
together. So that's great.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
UTS.
have you ever like tried? I guess like thought about participating in their team or dance team, if they have one, obviously.
I am on the dance
Oh,
team, actually. I'm on their competitive co ed Bollywood
oh my
fusion
God, that's
team,
so exciting.
called Much Ballier. So look out for us. Yeah, this year is kind of weird.
Hmm.
We had Zoom practices, and we're not competing. Instead, we're putting together like this big music video.
Oh wow.
But following years, we will be. So definitely look out for us on stage and
Wait, how
legends,
you
all of
doing the
that.
dancing over
Damn.
Zoom? That must be so hard.
Oh, yo, yo,
It
exactly.
is.
Oh my god.
It, it takes like dedication because you're literally dancing to yourself and your mirror, which is very different from like a studio setting. I don't know if I know. I gave an invitation for oh my god, it's Clubhouse. There we go.
Yes.
But I'm on Clubhouse, and a lot of the rooms that I hold is dancer tips to help like survive, I guess, the pandemic and without the studio style. So there's definitely different outlets, and there is a learning curve. But once you get past it, dance is dance wherever you're doing it. So
That's crazy. How how are you providing tips over Clubhouse? Because I know Clubhouse doesn't have video. It's just audio. Is it just do you like describe the dance moves?
yeah, it's more not dance tips, but more, how do you convert your room into a
Oh
studio?
wow.
What equipment do you need to buy? Or how do you keep up the motivation? So it's really just kind of banding together a community that have the exact same issues as each other and figuring out ways to solve it together.
That's absolutely amazing. I mean, I definitely relate to that so much because like, you know, I relate to that in that you have like a creative outlet. I don't necessarily have a creative outlet. I have like definitely more of a sport outlet because I love sports. So it's like I always need that. It's like a stress buster, like you said, dance was for you. So I think it's definitely so important. Too many times kids they just get caught up in, okay, I need to do well in school. Okay, maybe I need to volunteer a little, but then they like lose sight of what they want themselves. And it's definitely so important to, see what you want as well.
Yeah. And mental health, like I didn't realize it in high school at all. I was juggling a lot of things. Mental health wasn't the first thing on my mind. It was getting into college, right? But once you're in college, you realize like mental health is the keystone of doing well in
Mm.
life. And if you don't have that mental health, then you're not going to be able to progress in any form because of that. And so mental health is a real health that needs to be taken care of just like your physical health. And once you can come to that realization, then things become much smoother, I promise.
That's absolutely so true. I'm sure Garv and I both can agree on that. We've had many
Mhm.
guests who struggle with or advocate for mental health as well. It's just it's something that people need to take into account and realize is an actual issue, because I feel like it's for too long been neglected and frowned down upon as not being an illness, but especially in such a technology oriented society, and especially now being in the midst of a pandemic, stuck indoors all day, it's like
Yeah.
even more
You feel
important to really look after
yeah.
yourself.
You feel very isolated at home, as if like because you don't
Exactly.
interact with many people, and there's like a I guess like a fake persona of you on social media. Like, yeah, I'm happy, I'm doing all these things, but in the I guess that's not for everyone. I guess some people who really I guess need people around them, and they can't really get it because of this whole pandemic situation.
Yeah. And I think something that I've personally trying to work on is like being okay with your own company. I think that's so important. I tend to be more of an
Mm-hmm.
extrovert, so I enjoy people's company. I like talking to new people. So figuring out how to enjoy my own company was definitely a task that didn't
Right.
come easy. But once I was able to figure it out, you just feel so much more at peace with what you're doing because you no longer worry about what's going on around you. That
Mm-hmm.
FOMO aspect kind of goes away because you know what you're doing is happy and satisfied enough for you. So it's not for everyone, but I tried learning it hard because when the pandemic hit, it was a difficult task to not be able to see anybody.
So true. I know I know that I'm definitely more on the introvert side in terms of like, okay,
Yeah.
I love talking to people and I will hold a conversation and I'll like go full out, open up fully to you, but it's just like I need my me time all the time. Like it's like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people can just be draining and I'm like, okay, I need to go and chill by myself, relax, read a book, watch a Netflix TV show,
Yeah.
do something. Need to be by myself. But
Yeah.
definitely I guess I will be an ambivert then. Mix of both, extrovert and that. I just need to recharge after going too long with people. But yeah, absolutely amazing. So I mean, thank you so much, Alicia, for joining us today. I think we covered everything. Amazing, absolutely. Is there anything else you would like to say, add on? Maybe we didn't cover something. So
I was just saying, so a little self promo, but really for all podcasts out there, definitely make sure to listen to them. I found audios work so much better than reading articles. And so I find so much information from different podcasts. So listen to this one, listen to what cause inspires you, and be sure to reach out. Literally, if there's anything, I love talking to people, hearing your story, seeing where we can collaborate. So feel free to reach out to me if you need anything at all. And that goes for all audience members out there.
definitely, definitely. We're gonna link your podcast, your personal Insta, everything in there. And everyone, you must go check her out. She's an amazing person. A lot of value to be gained from her platforms. A lot of inspiration right there. But definitely go check that out. This has been amazing. Thank you so much again, Alicia, for coming on. Gaurav and I definitely enjoyed it, and definitely it's very inspiring, to see people our own age doing all this stuff. But thank you so much for coming on. It means a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, no problem. guys. See ya.
See you guys.